Oh, I'm on a bit of a roll, aren't I? So I may as well just keep rolling with it. Right. The character that is depicted in the writings of the Bible, right? He despised the scribes. But the only way we can learn about this character is in a book written by the scribes, which is the Bible. Now, the book has been corrupted by the scribes. Now, who are the scribes in society today? Well, they're the politicians, the lawmakers, the law courts, the judges, the legislators, and all of that modern Babylonian shit has a religious underpinning. Civilization, as we know it, and well, thousands of years ago, was born out of the dung of worshipping a single God. It's the monotheistic religions, the Abrahamic faiths, which is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Now, so whilst the world is worshipping one singular God, what they are then doing is worshipping the collective low consciousness of humanity, which is actually Satan. Satan means opponent to higher consciousness. But Jesus said, is it not written in your law that you are gods? So if the population of the planet today is 7.6 billion human beings, then there are 7.6 billion gods bimbling about. So it's about realization, internal self-realization. That's what it's about. And Jesus was against the religious. Now, even the name Jesus is a fiction. It's horseshit. It came from the joining of two names, which was decided by Constantine and the Nicene Council. They picked two gods, and one of them was the Druid god He, and the other one was Zeus, and they came up with the name Jesus. The letter J wasn't invented until the 17th century. So then it became Jesus. So it's a modern thing. It has absolutely no basis in the past whatsoever. It is nothing more than a whitewash. Now, if you was to trace the name all the way back to that pictographic Hebrew, the name is Yahusha, which means the implement of Yah. So Yah is the connection from your brain to the universe. And Yahusha is the sacred secretion. When you raise it, you have a bridge between your mind, your brain, and the universe. So that higher consciousness mediates between the mind, the story you tell yourself, and your own divine individual consciousness and the Father. That's why Jesus said, I and the Father are one. You dip a bucket of water into an ocean and pull the water out of the ocean. It's still a part of the ocean, but now it's just an individual bucket. But it came from the ocean. It's the same thing. There's no separation, just the illusion of separation. Now, why did he speak in parables? Because he's targeting people that are questioning things. Have you noticed the rise of the conspiracy theory? Do you like my mug? Nikki got it me. It's brilliant. Weirdo with a beardo. She compliments me often. Anyway. The message is for particular individuals. It's not for those that don't want to know. So my channel, the fact that it's small, is fine by me. When I go off on my travels within, then my channel might grow exponentially, but I will no longer be there because I intend to be walking with higher at that stage of the game. So those that are looking will stumble across my channel as if it's some kind of coincidence, and they will glean from it what they can, as you are doing, and then you can transcend the physical and become holy, whole, complete. Now, there's a particular verse, and I just want to go through it with you. Now, if you go to the Dead Sea Scrolls, right, you're going to have to take my word on this. The Dead Sea Scrolls are the oldest scriptures that we have, dating back 4,000 or 5,000 years. And when you compare what it says in Dead Sea Scrolls to what it says in the Bible, you can see the corruptions. Now, you don't need to do that, because when you tap into higher consciousness, that will all be taken care of, because you will know the truth and the truth will know you. You won't care for books anymore. But in the meantime, to assist you, your mind, and to encourage you to go within, I will continue to explain things. Right, so it's Matthew, which in ancient Hebrew is MATTANYAH, which means Yah lifts up. Get it? Lifting up. Lifting up your consciousness, raising the sacred secretion. So, Matthew 7:22. Now this is the sentence. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Now, Jesus often used parables, okay, so the people with ears to hear and eyes to see would receive, but the deaf and the willfully ignorant, they wouldn't get anything. They would just remain in low consciousness because they're not striving, they're not seeking earnestly, they're not trying to find it out. So it's not given to them. Their own consciousness locks them out. So, not everyone who says to me, Lord, well, so what does that mean? What do you mean, not everyone? That's what you see in the churches. Everyone's trying to say, Lord, just that little bit more. Like, Lord, don't forget about me. It's ridiculous. But in the ancient scriptures, it says, no one that calls me Lord will enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, just that simple corruption on its own, that's what the scribes have done. Because if it was written in that book, as it was written back then, nobody that calls me Lord gets into the kingdom of heaven. Nobody would be using the word Lord. Lord, the ancient word is Baal. And Baal just means Lord. And they originally, the name was Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. There's no Vav in pictographic Hebrew. That was added later. So they put the tetragrammaton in, Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. But if you look at various words, you can work out what the vowels are. And the vowels are Yahweh. And it's how you breathe, the breath of life, prana. So Yahweh. Now, they then removed the Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh and they put in Lord, which is wrong, because look, you've got to approach this with a really sharp and vicious logic and rationale. If you have a Lord, are you free? Yes or no? If you have a Lord, lording it over you, you're not free, are you? And if somebody's lording it over you, doesn't that sound like the ego? Baal? Satan? Get it? So all those religions that are calling out to the Lord, they're worshipping the very thing that oppresses them. Do you see how fucked up that is? Now the truth is to make you free. It's to get rid of all your karma, not just from this lifetime. You've been around a long time. It's to get rid of it all. But if you have a Lord, then you're externalizing divinity when the divinity is within you. You don't have a Lord. You see all these religious people. We are bipeds. We are designed to walk upright. We are the only creature on this planet designed to walk upright. And all the religious people are on their fucking knees. Oh, we're surrendering to the Lord. No. It's an absurdity. Why would the universe design you to walk upright and then demand that you get on your knees? What kind of a fucking narcissistic fuckwit of a father is that? Do you think he's got self-esteem issues? Or do you think it's Satan that has these issues? Low consciousness, needs to be validated all the time. See? You submit yourself, you offer yourself, you give an alms, charity. In meditation, you put the ego to the side behind you. That's it. When you meditate, you'll receive, you'll understand, and your ego, it has a death. It realizes, or it's taught, that it's not the boss, it's not the Lord, and it will get behind you where it belongs. Like Jesus said, get behind me, Satan. And it becomes a follower, because it's not a fucking leader. If you want to understand how bad it is as a leader, look at your political establishments. Look at your religious establishments. Look at all the institutes of academics that profess all the time and still can't get it right. Humanity's had its time on its own, trying to rule its own affairs. What a fucking great job it's doing. Now, so I'll read it again. Nobody who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father in heaven. So how do you know what the will of the Father is? Well, you'll be told when you meditate. You'll receive. And your ego will begin to serve. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons and perform many miracles? Then I will tell them plainly, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. Now it says lawlessness here. In other scriptures it says, you workers of inequity. Not in balance. The chakras are all over the place. Out of whack, out of sync, disordered. Babylon. And if all your centers are fucked up, what effect is that going to have on your consciousness? So a person who has equity, they've raised a wise serpent, okay, and all their chakras are open, the 7 seals in the book of Revelation, and the energy's flowing as it was designed to do. So he said, I will tell them plainly, I never knew you, depart from me, you workers of inequity. So that's like, in these people's minds, another voice steps in and plainly says, fuck off, I don't know you. Raise the energy, clean your house, meditate. Know yourself, your higher self. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. It's so simple. But none of this will be revealed to you internally until you respond. When I'm taught, it says as well, let me just find it for you. Oh, bollocks. KJV. Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened for you. So these are ratifying statements. It's not saying, oh, you have to do this or you have to do that. It's basically saying seek. So seeking is meditation. So seek, and it will be given to you, and you'll understand. So something else influences the mind, and then the mind begins to respond. That's why I keep harping on about go within. Worked for me, still working for me. There's a lot of things I still don't understand, and I acknowledge the fact that I know nothing. That is the act of meditation. For everyone that asketh, receiveth, and he that seeketh, findeth, and to him that knocketh, it shall be opened. Now the knocking is to raise the secretion up. Now I was completely oblivious to all this. It happened to me as I was going through a particularly miserable time in my life. Now, so I just stopped doing what I used to do, and it just happened. So, but when you have these understandings, then you know what you need to do. Right. There's another piece. Right, the narrow gate. Enter ye at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which that go in thereat. In other words, the masses are caught up in the affairs of mankind. It's an absolute nonsense, a Babylonian nightmare of epic proportions. Why the fuck would you want to be involved in anything like that? Even the traditions of man are utter shite. Like Christmas, it's a fucking farce, and it's been designed to obscure the truth, have nothing to do with it. But I like Christmas. That's the ego. Get over it. So, right, because strait is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. So the narrow, it's raising the kundalini, your spinal cord. It's narrow. A few people find it. It's the individual. And straight is the gate. It's straight up. It's not the left-hand path or the right-hand path. It's the narrow path in the middle. A tree and its fruit. Beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. So a false prophet, fucking YouTube is full of them. Prophecy ministries, and there's lots of females doing it, bizarrely enough. And if you go into the comments section, spewing, how do I put it? It's just verbal diarrhea. It's virtue signalling at its worst. And if I was to leave a comment there, they all huddle together to provide strength to each other because somebody's called them out on their nefarious Baal shit. Now, a sheep's clothing, that's symbolic of the Apostle Paul, the ego, low consciousness. It's being all nice and lovey-dovey, but it's inauthentic, it's fake as fuck. It's about as real as Kamala Harris's laugh. There's an example of a sheep in wolf's clothing. But inwardly they are ravening wolves. The Apostle Paul was the tribe of Benjamin, which is symbolized as a wolf. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes or thorns, or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. So what about my fruit then? Judge for yourselves, but do not judge. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is chopped down and cast into the fire. Wherefore by their own fruits ye shall know them. A tree is your brain. What kind of fruits are these people producing? Are they giving you anything that you can chew the cud on? Does it resonate with you? The truth is always simple. If it's complex or detailed, then it's got the devil written all over it. The devil, just a word that means low consciousness. Bullshit. And bullshit has been used to baffle brains for millennia. The house on the rock. The house is the body. It's where you live. It's your avatar. And the house on the rock is the pineal gland. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. So do with them. Respond. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house, but it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And every one that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. We're not talking about houses. And it came to pass, when Jesus had ended these sayings, the people were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes. You'll get to a point where you can't even be asked to read anymore, because it's everything you need is within you. Sick to death of people that have got little letters after their name, professing their academic prowess, and that all the normal people, you're all too fucking stupid. But it's okay, I'm here to be clever for you. The hubris of such people makes me want to chuck. I went shopping with with Nikki in Manchester. It was about a year ago now. And we sat down in this cafeteria. And this bloke was sitting at the table. I can't remember the details of the conversation now. But he started trying to tell me that he was like some kind of leader. And he was about to start virtue signalling. And Nikki was chuckling to herself because she could see that I was ramping up. And this guy didn't finish his meal, and he kind of shuffled off. He knew in no uncertain terms that I knew he was full of shit. I didn't want to hear his shit. I just wanted to enjoy my meal with Nikki. And he fucked off, which was fine. And when all of these people fuck off, it will be better. We're all equal. Some people are good at some things. Some people are good at others. Some people can sing. Some people can play musical instruments. But those two people, they don't know shit about mathematics. But there's another person who's really good at mathematics but can't play a fucking triangle for toffee. That's what makes us all so fucking wonderful. We all have our gifts. But no one is better than the other. We complement each other. You don't ask somebody who's good at numbers but shit at music to compose something. So each individual has a skill set that complements humanity. But for the vast majority of people, the masses, because of indoctrination and the academic system, these gifts are either buried in the education system or they're fucking stamped on. And people end up in fucking mind-numbing jobs. And they can never discover what their gift is or who they truly are. And that's the greatest gift of all. Fucking books. What else can I add to this? It's a bit of a rant. But for good reason. I mentioned in a comment regarding Freemasons. Fuck the Freemasons. The character that everyone calls Jesus wasn't a carpenter. He was a stonemason. The stone is the pineal gland. He is the capstone. Okay? Capstone. Consciousness. He is the chief cornerstone. The grand architect. How were the pyramids built? They melted granite with a lens and they poured each block. They didn't carve anything by hand. And then they told the people that, you know, this is God's temple, and they had a, what was that bloody pharaoh's name? I forget his name. Looks a bit like Barack Obama. But he invented the monotheistic religions, the one God. And then they started worshipping the sun God. And that shit spread out all over the world. It's the fucking biggest brainwashing program in the universe. And the people forgot who they were. They forgot their first love. Well, this is the age of revelation. And when you know that your ego has been fooled, or so your ego has fooled you, you'll never get fooled again.